Hi guys, so I'm back here with my Wisconsin TH engine, and as you can see I've got everything painted, the blocks all painted, got a bunch of my bolts and odds and ends painted. I still just primed the carburetor. There's my cylinder jug, and then a bunch of my tins down there. And right now I'm just beginning the first process in reassembly here, which is installing the crankshaft. And so I'm going to try not to make this too long, but basically the crankshaft installs through the hole, and you can see it seats on a tapered roller bearing, like an old-fashioned Timkin bearing. There's also one in the back. This rear bearing plate bolts on, and basically you can see there's a gasket line here. Now, these tapered roller bearings, the space between your two outer races is extremely critical, because the spacing between those two races sets the preload on the bearings. And so the way that you adjust that on these Wisconsin engines is they give you a number of these shim gaskets. There's a couple. They give you a couple extra. They give you 8 or 9 of them. And then there's one thin one, which I think I'm going to have to use. And so what you have to do is you have to install the crankshaft. And I just started with all of those thick gaskets in here. And I tightened it down to the torque spec, all these 4 bolts, which is like 25 foot-pounds. And then and you basically have to feel how much end play is in this crankshaft. I had a noticeable amount of play. So what I did was I took it back apart. I removed 2 of the gaskets. I torqued it back up and I tried it again. And so right now, this isn't super accurate. It's good enough, but well, it's hard for me to get to work all the play in the crankshaft because I'm doing this with one hand, but I still got about 8 to 9 thousandths of end play. And the spec is from 1 to 4 thousandths. These thick gaskets are about 8 thousandths thick. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this apart. I'm going to remove one of the thick gaskets and probably put this thin one in. This thin one is 3 thousandths. And I'm going to see where that gets me. So I don't have a tripod, but I'm going to see if I can set the camera up and film this process. So here we go. Okay, I hope this works. So I'm going to take the dial indicator off. Then I just need to loosen these bolts. Kind of tricky because I have to hold the crankshaft up with one hand. This comes out pretty easy. I'm going to take another one of these thick ones out. I'm going to put this real thin one in. There we go. There is a seal that goes right here too, and I know I bought one, but I don't know if I brought it with me this time, so I'll have to install that later. And so the manual says to torque these bolts 24 to 26 foot-pounds. Okay. Let's see. Hard to get a consistent reading. Well, it looks like about about 6 thousandths. Sometimes more, sometimes less. So I guess we got to do this again. That's too much. I'll take that thin gasket out. What are we doing? Kind of a tedious process, but this is critical. Last thing you want to do is damage your crankshaft or your bearings. If there's too much play in the crankshaft, it's not good for anything else. Because if there's too much play in the crankshaft, then your crankshaft can actually move up and down and around with this type of bearing. Could it's kind of a guessing game. I could take one more heavy one out. I'm going to try it. Ooh. That's actually tight, which is not what you want. Ah. Okay, let's do it. Well, from here I could do one or two things. I could put the little shim gasket back in, or I could put another big one back in. Kind of a guessing game. Well, I don't want this video to be too long. Let me pause it and see if I can get it up to spec. Okay, I put a big shim back in, and you really have to pull on this crankshaft to get all the movement out of it, but I've got it down to about 3 to 4 thousandths, I think. And some of that, I mean, that surface isn't smooth, so if I can make it move just by rotating the crankshaft, but trying not to do that, I can get a few thousandths out of it, which is exactly what it's supposed to be. So I'm going to leave it at that, and I'm going to move on. Next step would be install the camshaft and the tappets. Then probably install more of the timing cover assembly. And we'll go from there. Thanks for watching.